Transport Minister Chibuike Amechi. National Assembly to meet with organized labor next week over national minimum wage. Rivers State Ministry of Health receives about 150,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. On the foreign scene, Brazil COVID-19 infection rate rises as daily deaths pass 2,000. COVID is real. Observe all health protocols. Protect yourself, protect others. I am Ifiemi Andrew. The rift between Governor Nyesom Wike and the Minister of Transportation Chibuike Amechi seems to have been renewed. This is as Governor Wike took a swipe at Mr. Amechi over his comments on a live television program that he speaks intelligently because he does not take alcohol. The governor spoke during the commissioning of Omoko Moichi Alu Road yesterday.
This morning, I was watching Kakaki, and I heard somebody, they said is a minister, was talking, and he said, you don't take alcohol, but you can take 10 cans of horsepower. What can be more alcohol than that? People should stop talking anyhow in the public. If the way you are behaving, then you drink, what will happen? A minister of the Federal Republic will come and tell Nigeria that he does not drink. What business is that? I went to the University of Port Harcourt. I never repeated a class. I finished. I went to do my youth service in former Gongola State. I came back. I went to the University to read law. I didn't repeat. I went to law school. I finished. I've never read law for 16 years. I never did that. And people should stop talking.
Governor Wike also accused Amechi's administration of embezzling funds from the sale of state property.
You just think because people gave you opportunity, so our properties, everything, and people are talking in this state because of the government that says they're fighting corruption and protecting people. So our property $308 million and kept for us $208,000. That is kind of people parading themselves in government. Our government that said they're fighting corruption, shame. I felt I should come to his local government and tell him.
Recall that the governor also said the APC-led federal government has not made any impact in the state, adding that the world has moved beyond the construction of a narrow railway gauge.
I heard people came to River State. The flag of narrow gauge. When the world is talking about standard gauge, what are giving River State narrow gauge? Because I challenge them. Show us what you've done for the people of the state. So what they will do is to come and say, okay, since you are complaining, let's come and give you back that narrow gauge. Instead of giving us the standard gauge to Medigwe. And they're making noise about it. River State, the state that they use their money to produce their president towards the end of the administration, what they will come and tell us to have a narrow gauge.
Recall that the Minister of Transportation, Chibuike Amechi, criticized Governor Wike's response to the flag-off of the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri narrow gauge railway on Tuesday.
When you make a statement, millions of Nigerians depend on that statement. I am not garrulous in that nature. I speak intelligently, knowing that when I speak, it matters. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't speak out of my sense. Go back to all my statements as a governor. Not even if I gotten up and say, oh, one small boy is criticizing me as a governor. He's from so and so village. Damn you! Do you think I don't see what people talk about me? That's why I say, I'm a thoroughbred of University of Port Harcourt.
Rivers State government says henceforth any water producing company that has not been evaluated will not be certified and allowed to operate in the state. Commissioner for Water Resources and Rural Development Tamano Sisi Gogojaja said this during the collection of water sample at a bottling company in Port Harcourt ahead of World Water Day. Dr. Gogojaja said the move is to ensure quality water production in the state.
We had said as a ministry that any water company or water service provider that does not give us access facility or you do not have your plants here or assessed by the River State government through the Ministry of Water Resources and Rural Development, we can certify your product for consumption by our people. Today, we have visited Lasien. We have had access to their wells. We have also collected samples from the well. And what we will do will be to run a test of the sample we collected at the service point. We have stated clearly that Rivers State government will not guarantee any water that does not have the certification of the Rivers State Ministry of Water Resources and Rural Development.
Dr. Tamanosisi Gogojaja also urged water producing company outside the state to ensure that their facility is evaluated. As you may know, World Water Day is celebrated on March 22 every year to raise awareness of the global water crisis. The theme for this year's celebration is Valuing Water. A state high court sitting in Port Harcourt has sentenced one Chief Vincent Nnamdi-Oto to 1 month imprisonment for contempt of court. Chief Nnamdi-Oto had, while responding to cross-examination from the witness box on a disputed land suit, shouted at the presiding judge, requesting to know his interest in the matter. Chief Nnamdi-Oto further then walked out of the witness box, hit his palm on the floor of the court, threatening to deal with all and petition President Muhammadu Buhari on the matter. The presiding judge, Justice Adolphus Anebeli, after watching the drama, ordered that Chief Nnamdi-Oto be put back in the box and should show cause why he should not be committed to prison for contempt. Justice Anebeli, after listening to the presentations from all the lawyers who condemned his attitude, remanded him in prison for 1 month before adjourning the matter to 17th of May 2021 for continuation of cross-examination. Magistrates Court sitting in Port Harcourt has discharged a 50-year-old man, Dixon Uwo, accused of defiling a 13-year-old girl in 2019. Chief Magistrate Amaka Amanze, during her judgment, discharged the defendant for lack of proper investigations by police and lack of convincing evidence. Shortly after the judgment was given, a lawyer with the International Federation of Women Lawyers FIDA in Rivers State, Esther Corrienta Archo, advised family members of sexual abusers and victims to keep intact their evidences. The Senate has resolved to remove provisions of the law as contained in the Police Act, Federal Character Law, Electoral Act, Labor Act, political parties' constitutions that infringe on the rights of women in Nigeria. Senate's resolution was hinged on the adoption of a motion on the 2021 International Women's Day. The motion was sponsored by Senator Betty Apiafi and co-sponsored by 7 other senators. Apiafi, rising under Order 42 and 52 of the Senate Standing Rules, said it is important for policymakers striving towards gender equality and a time for reflection of how far women have come, advocacy for what is still needed, and action to continue breaking down barriers limiting gender equality. In his remarks, Senate President Ahmed Lawan said that the provision of equal opportunities for women would, on the long run, be in the interest of Nigeria as a nation. The spokesman of the Rivers State Police Command, Nnamdi Omoni, says the second phase of the National Health Insurance Scheme enrollment exercise has commenced for retired police officers resident in the state and the general public. In a statement made available to Nigeria Info, SP Omoni urged all police retirees in the state to report to any of the 10 area commands nearest to them for the exercise, which will commence on Monday 15th of March to Thursday 18th of March 2021. Officers are required to come with a letter of retirement and retiree's letter of identification or ID card. Still ahead, family, friends pay tribute to late High Chief Obi Lulu Briggs. Stay tuned.
Your Excellency, the people of Obiakpo Constituency 2 and indeed Rivers State are proud of you for redefining governance by depositing projects that can stand the test of time, even when most states around the Federation find it almost impossible to meet up with their statutory obligations to their people. Dikioha, your track records in public service will continue to speak for you as you move in your crusade for a better Nigeria. As you embark on the second phase of commissioning these world-class class project, which includes the ultra-modern Trade Union Congress Secretariat situated in Akpo Kingdom. We say, may God guide and protect your vision for the state.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817.
The Rivers State Ministry of Health has received about 150 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines for distribution in the state. A source at the Ministry of Health told our correspondent that the vaccines arrived at state yesterday through the Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagua, and was received by the State Commissioner for Health, Prince Chike. The leadership of the National Assembly will on Tuesday next week meet Labour leaders over a bill which seeks to remove the minimum wage negotiations from the exclusive legislative list. Majority Leader of the House of Representatives Al Hassan Ado Dogua made this known while addressing workers who marched to the National Assembly complex in Abuja yesterday to protest the bill. In Rivers State, Chairperson of NLC Beatrice Utubo led her members to the Rivers State House of Assembly. She appealed to the state government and state House of Assembly members not to domesticate the bill that will move workers' salaries from exclusive list to the concurrent list.
We appeal for your good judgment to take account of the gravity of the violent afoot by some the progressive elements in the House of Representatives. Intervene to guide the members of the State House of Assembly aright in case this bill comes before you. Honorable Speaker, sir, if this anti-labor bill that seeks to hamstring the nation in her efforts to reduce poverty and inequality is presented to the State House of Assembly, that we appeal to Your Excellency to kindly refuse assent.
Recall that the bill seeking to remove negotiations on the minimum wage from the exclusive list to the concurrent list passed the second reading in the House on February 23. According to the sponsor Garba Mohammed, the bill is to allow both the federal and state governments freely negotiate minimum wage with workers. Family members, friends, associates, and top government functionaries yesterday attended the 9th of tribute service of songs held in honor of late High Chief O.B. Lulu Briggs. The event, which took place in Port Harcourt, is part of a week-long funeral activity put together by the family. Former President of Nigeria Bar Association, NBA, OCJ Okocha, and Senator Magnus Abe, in their tribute to late Chief Obi Lulu Briggs, described him as a man whose legacies will be difficult to erase.
The work of Chief Lulu Briggs will live on in all of us. So for me, I'm not going to weep over our chief. I will celebrate him. And I will play a little game with all of you here. If I say something about Chief that you know that is true, say correct. Are you ready? Chief knew how to dress well. Correct. Chief was a giver. Correct. Chief was a good man. Correct. Chief was compassionate. Correct. Chief reached out to people. Correct. Chief impacted lives. Correct. Is that correct?
Because this man touched many lives. I know many outreaches, communities where several medical and other outreaches were undertaken. So this was truly a great man, a man whose deeds, whose good works have gone before him. And I have no doubt that there is a place reserved for him in paradise. Not just majestic, magisterial looking man, in whose presence you would be awestruck.
On their part, Chief E.S. Amakri and the CEO of Heritage Bank, Ifiemi George, who described late High Chief Lulu Briggs as a friend and mentor, enumerated the feat the late chief attained during his lifetime.
Lulu Briggs, to many, they know that besides being a philanthropist, he was that the history, political history of this country will not be complete without mention being made of all this contribution. In the Second Republic, he was what they addressed him as leader, not because he had shades of degrees attached to him. No, but he was a man of great ideas. I'm happy Dr. Peter Dili is here today. A man of great ideas, courageous man, fierce.
Today, I stand proudly a man who had seen what business is. At the time Chief Obi picked me up, myself and his son barely had enough experience to do anything, talk less of sit in an operating committee meeting. That was the depth of his mentorship. I don't want to discuss the fatherly side of him. I became his conspirator to get Dumo married. Then he became Dumo's conspirator to get me married to Dumo's wife's sister. He was the only one in the midst of every challenge I had.
One of his daughters, Rachel Lulu Briggs, who read the family's tribute, said their father's quest to address health challenges of the poor in society, among other reasons, made him establish the O.B. Lulu Briggs Foundation.
So when we think of my father, we understand that one day we'll meet again. We understand that God has a purpose for all our lives. So when we cry, we dry our tears. We move forward knowing that there was a man who paved the way for us. There was a man who started a thing for all of us to pick up the mantle and to finish it. We say thank you to him. We rejoice knowing that we are at peace. We rejoice knowing that we have a way forward because a man has come, he has lived, and he has set the way for us. Thank you all for coming this evening. He was a great man, he was kind, he was loving, and he fulfilled purpose.
In the meantime, the head of the family and chief mourner, Chief Dumo Lulu Briggs, who thanked all that attended the program, said the family will not allow their differences frustrate the dreams their father had for a united family.
We want to be a family with everybody, with our stepmother and all. There's nothing that has happened that we shall allow to define us. The life of our father must be the only mirror through which we see the world. Very forgiving person, was a very loving person, and so we forgive all ourselves. And all of us pray, clergy, pray with us, that we keep the flag flying, and that we do not bury the Lulu Briggs family with our dearly departed father. So we must come together, need all your prayers. And on that note, we say thank you, and thank you again.
In business, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NSE, will now run as a public company limited by shares rather than a private company limited by guarantee of owners or members. The shift makes the NSE the 57th exchange in the world to embrace such a transformation since Sweden's Stockholm Stock Exchange piloted the move in 1993. The exchange is at liberty to list its own shares and trade them on the bourse like every other quoted firm. In entertainment, Lau Otans, the Dutch engineer credited with inventing the audio cassette tape, has died at the age of 94. An estimated 100 billion cassette tapes have been sold around the world since they were introduced in the 1960s. Otans' invention transformed the way people listen to music, and there's even been a resurgence of the cassette in recent years. In sports, gang striker Paul Onuachu has opted to keep mum over his standby role for this month's 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Benin Republic and Lesotho. Many had expected Onuachu to be included in the squad for the games, having shown in the Belgian top flight division for Genk. The 26-year-old has more league goals than Borussia Dortmund's Erling Haaland, Lionel Messi, Harry Kane and Mo Salah so far this season. Instead, coach Kenneth Rowe included captain Ahmed Musa, who has been without a club in the last 5 months for the qualifiers.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Brazil has exceeded 2,000 COVID-related deaths in a single day for the first time as infection rates soar. The country has the second highest death toll in the world behind the US, with a total of 268,370 fatalities. Experts warn that the transmission rate is made worse by more contagious variants. President Jair Bolsonaro, who was pictured wearing a mask for the first time in a month yesterday, has consistently sought to downplay the threat posed by the virus. The surge in cases has put health systems in most of Brazil's largest cities under immense pressure, with many close to collapse. On the news this morning, you heard that there seems to be a renewed rift as Governor Nyesom Wike traded words with Transport Minister Chibuike Amechi yesterday. The Rivers State Ministry of Health has received about 150,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. National Assembly has said that it will meet with organized labor next week over national minimum wage. On the foreign scene, Brazil's COVID-19 infection rate has continued to rise daily as death toll surpasses 2,000. The news was edited by Martha Okere. I am Ifiemi Andrew. Contact our newsroom on 0818-900-0017. Partly cloudy weather expected in Port Harcourt this morning. Thank you for your time.